Did you know that St. Luke's University Health Network has been recognized by the U.S. government as the highest performing health system in the United States for quality? You heard right. St. Luke's #1 recognition affirms our status as the top leader among the most respected healthcare providers in the nation, including Houston Methodist and the Mayo Clinic. To state it simply, if you want to receive the best care when you go to a hospital, come to St. Luke's.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me, taxi.
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Now, another thing I want you to understand and think about this, which is very, very critical, and that is the notion of one day we're going to see something which is called MK Ultra. Have you heard of this? Mind control. Can you think of any times, and by the by, try this in a courtroom. Try this. Can you think of any instance in modern history when it had all of the applications of MK Ultra? MK Ultra is mind. By the way, MK does not mean mind control. That is a CIA prefix, which has nothing to do with it. It has to do with, there's AE and MK, and anyway, but MK is not mind control, as some people think. It's some other prefix. But there are two instances in my life which I think I would not be surprised. And one of them is, of course, Mark David Chapman and the shooting of John Lennon. And the other one is Sirhan or Sirhan. He in particular, because I don't believe he had anything to do with the killing of Bobby Kennedy. It was Thane Eugene Caesar, which even Bobby Kennedy mentioned, and everybody knows, but for some reason, nobody talks about him. And why do I say this? Mark David Chapman later on says, I don't know what that was about. There was this weird kind of behavior. There was this, remember, this catcher in the rye, but he was almost like a confused state, like, I don't know what this is about. And also, Lennon represented one of the biggest impediments, he gave us a black eye. He basically told J. Edgar Hoover and others, the hell with you, I'm staying here, and there's nothing you can do. And after time of getting rid of him, and they were trying to deport him, he won and became not only a great New York citizen, but the, dare I say, the deep state, the shadow government, never forgot that. And the second one was Sirhan, or Sirhan, who supposedly killed Bobby Kennedy because of, and he was Jordanian, because of his position on the Middle East, which nobody to this day understands what that even means. It has absolutely nobody even knows what they're talking about. Nobody has figured this one out yet. What did Bobby, again, it's a waste of time. Now, if you were a juror, what would you think about that? Imagine if I put on a case and I said, I want you to find this individual not guilty because of the fact that he had no ideas of what was going on. You see, the most important figure in a little bit before my lifetime, probably the most powerful, evil, prototypical deep state government bad guy is Allen Dulles. In fact, John Foster, his brother, the Dulles brothers, probably shaped more of the future and the course of our country. But in April of 1953, Allen Dulles, who was the newly appointed director of the CIA, delivered a speech to a gathering of Princeton alumni. And though the event was rather mundane, there were global tensions, of course, running high, and the Korean War was coming to an end. And earlier that week, the New York Times had published a startling story asserting that American POWs returned from the country may have been converted by communist brainwashers. Converted. Now, we haven't heard anything about that yet. So some GIs were confessing to war crimes like carrying out germ warfare against the communists, a charge the U.S. categorically denied. Others were reportedly so brainwashed that they had refused to return to the United States. As if that weren't enough, the U.S. was weeks away from secretly sponsoring the overthrow of a democratically elected leader in Iran. That's Operation Ajax, when we supplanted and removed Mossadegh. Remember that one. So Dulles had become the first civilian director of an agency growing more powerful by the day. And the speech he provided gave a kind of an early glimpse into his priority and the priorities of the CIA. And he said, quote, "In the past few years, we have become accustomed to hearing much about the battle for men's minds, the war of ideologies." Further, he said, quote, "I wonder, however, whether we clearly perceive the magnitude of the problem, whether we realize how sinister the battle for men's minds has become in Soviet hands." Again, the Soviets. "We might call it, in its new form, brain warfare." Now, let me stop right there. Let me throw all of this in. There is a trend that is happening, and all you have to do is sit back and pay attention. You have to read a little bit of at least the cursory news, unlike our friend in Tennessee who did not hear about that, which is fine. But there is a war on for your and our minds. And it's going to affect completely criminal law, mental health, crimes that you see on the street. And I advocate the following. Number one, as I've indicated, a reevaluation of transgenderism as this benign alternative lifestyle. And number two, we have to reconsider warehousing, listen to what I'm saying, the violent and the dangerously mentally ill, the way it used to be.
LifeLock, how can I help?
The IRS said I filed my return,
But I haven't.
1 in 4 tax-paying Americans has paid the price of identity fraud.
What do I do?
My refund, though.
I'm freaking out.
Don't worry, I can fix this.
LifeLock fixes identity theft guaranteed and gets your money back with up to $3 million in coverage.
I'm so relieved.
No problem. I'll be with you every step of the way.
1 in 4 was a fraud-paying American. Not anymore. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.